Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Sit Down, brought to you by Black World. My name is Esther Alatishe, and I'm the president of Black World. I'm here today with my lovely guests who will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a journalism major.
Hey, I'm Chris Jean, VP of Student Life at USG.
My name is Tyrese Woodham, and my major is psychology with marketing publication.
My name is Julio Taku. I'm business manager of the Stony Brook Press.
My name is Malachi Maloney. I'm a poli-sci economics double major.
My name is Anthony Haynes, and I am the treasurer of Black World.
My name is Andrew Candio, and I'm a journalism major.
Hi, my name is Sophia Camille, and I'm a bio major with a minor in digital arts.
And so today we're going to be talking about tokenism and just that condition of being the only Black person in a certain situation. So to you guys, I would ask first, when you hear token, what do you think of? South Park?
Yeah.
Why?
Because especially watching it, you see Token, obviously he's the only Black person in the friend group. Oh, that's good.
His name is a token.
We're all, isn't it?
No, token.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
Tolkien, like The Hobbit, like Lord of the Rings.
But did they do that on purpose?
But it's a play on words.
Yeah.
South Park is a really, really good satire.
Yeah.
Not
But
everybody
his
catches
name
it.
wasn't really token. It's just every white person in the town assumed it was token because he's the only Black person.
Right.
That was part of the joke.
Is
Yeah.
that the one?
So like they're like, oh, I'm racist. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah,
but,
it's kind of racist.
so what characteristics, was it, okay, he was the token, did he act a certain way, did you feel, or was there anything about him?
Just being like the only Black person in the town. I expected to know things because he's Black. I think one episode he was expected to not play an instrument because he's Black. Stuff like that.
Do you guys also feel like that expectation? When you think of a token, is that also what you think of?
Like in
Just
TV
about.
shows, like definitely like when I saw like certain TV shows I think of as like they'll be like on my blog or just like like Stranger Things was definitely he was the token. And they didn't really show like Black people in that show. Like I really only remember him, the main character, and that's it. Or one of the main characters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can, talk about movies and TV shows. So what are some big ones you guys think of?
I would have to say, what you call it, growing up watching like Disney Channel shows, so like Charlie, you had the token best Black friend, and she was sassy, and just all stereotypes that they associate with Black women and Black children and stuff like that. So seeing that, you kind of like how I act, do I have to and they're trying to they would kind of want you to be like that character. I felt like.
Yeah. They even did that in the Power Cam with the darkest.
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but they made her ghetto, loud, sassy and stuff. It's crazy.
The platinum blonde hair,
Yeah.
wow.
The super pronounced pouting lips. But you talking about Disney Channel made me think about Corbin Bleu in High School Musical. And then y'all remember the Stick to the Status Quo song? They straight up told that Black kid nah, shut up and dribble. Because he wanted to play the bassoon or something. They straight up told him no.
Yeah.
Stick to the stuff you know, and put a basketball in his hands and made him sit down. No,
Terrible.
that was a crazy scene looking back at it.
He's biracial too. So
Wow.
their token Black person's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's
Yo, you ever seen that, the Netflix originals?
Yeah.
Dear White People, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I feel like they all are just a biracial
main
Black
girl,
woman.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
I feel like
Every single
there's
one.
I think there's a whole biracial girl propaganda. It's there's definitely an agenda because it's almost like they pumped them out of a factory.
What was that?
For ratings or something okay.
Amandla
Stenberg? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she was in the movie. Oh, yo, the fact that they even greenlit this movie where she fell in love with a Nazi, bro. Y'all remember that?
I'm
didn't
sorry,
see that
I'm
one.
so glad I
It was
don't
like
remember
holding
that.
hands.
Y'all don't remember that?
I remember that.
I didn't see it, but I remember that. Yes. She
I
played a
beg
black
your
girl
teen
who
romance.
fell in love with a Nazi, bro.
Who
A
writes a
Nazi.
story like that though?
A white
It's just,
person.
like, you know?
It's not
like,
Shonda Rhimes, I'll tell you that.
It's like a fantasy.
Yeah, even her being in the Hate You Give. I think, or-
Yeah, the
Yeah.
original in the book, she's a
She's a
dark-skinned
dark-skinned,
girl,
yeah.
dark-skinned teenager, and then who's this?
She gotta stop taking those roles.
Yeah.
So, I think she has. So.
We could also talk about Zoe Saldana and how she played Nina Simone, though.
That, you know,
in straight
With
up
the
black.
nose. You know, that is
Prosthetic nose.
prosthetic nose, all that.
that is as
All that.
disrespectful as Flex Alexander playing Michael Jackson. It just wasn't. It
That
shouldn't
was
have
funny.
happened.
No, that was
It shouldn't
hilarious.
have.
That was
It was
hilarious. Let's get this
disrespectful.
straight. There's no such thing as whiteface. Blackface is a thing because there's historical context and terrible, dangerous connotations behind it.
Right.
Whiteface.
Oh no, that's
in
not
that
why.
context
It
was hilarious.
That's not why it was disrespectful. It was just like no. The whole movie.
Yeah, Flex
just
is like
was
6'4", Mike was 5'8".
No.
It was just all. But back to tokenism. Some of the top tokens, like y'all seen Captain America movies, Hawkeye, token right there.
Oh,
Hawkeye?
yeah. I thought you mean Falcon?
Yo,
Yeah.
Falcon.
Yeah.
Sorry, they both birds. sorry, Marvel stands.
I forgot his name, but you could think of The Office.
Oh, Stanley.
And the notable scene of him on the basketball team with the dribble.
Have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it.
Nah, the whole show is low key like microaggressions towards.
Oh, 100% the entire time, but it fit like the office aesthetic because that just happens all the time.
And I feel like Stanley like subverted what you would. Like he was very much to himself, and he didn't give a damn what anybody really thought.
Yeah.
So like every time Michael was like, Stanley, what you aren't good at basketball? He's like, Michael, you don't know. Da, 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 da. Like he's not gonna be like, yeah, I think basketball I'm black. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he didn't
Which
play
is, like,
into
what
it.
you would expect. I like the way that he was written.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about token characters besides like the best friend character. I'm thinking about usually like the security guard, burly characters. I'm thinking
Yes.
that one guy from the Hunger Games movie,
Yeah.
Cyborg from Teen Titans.
Oh,
Sweet Life is
yeah.
Africa too had on Kirby.
Yeah.
Oh, he and
Dog.
He's the same, got the same build, same kind of like role in everything. The security guard, the big strong guy or something like that. Like,
Jones Brothers and Bodyguard.
I was gonna mention him. I don't know if he actually passed away or not, but I think I heard he did.
Oh my God.
Kirby.
Where is he now?
Yeah.
Where is he now?
even I was watching it was called I think Not Another Teen Movie. It was like a parody of like all those like white teen like world movies and stuff. And they even had a token black character like named the token black character. So I'm the token black character. I'm gonna find this and that's
Yeah, like the Magic Negro, like with Will Smith. What was the name of the movie? What was the name of the movie with Will Smith? It was the golfing movie. I'm blanking on the name. That's not of my time. But there was a movie where Will Smith literally played a Magic Negro that helped this guy win in golf. It was insane.
What,
Wow.
are you talking? There's that like Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah,
Is that the one?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what Anthony's talking about.
Yeah, like he literally is just there, like.
Mm-hmm.
And then
He has his catchphrases too, like "Damn, that's black."
He killed me the skit about that. How there was like the new black guy in the group, and they had like a black. Oh, that was a funny episode.
In the acapella group, right?
Yup, in the acapella group. Yup.
But even the whole genre of horror movies.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ice Cube, although you're doing some BS. Shout out to Ice Cube for surviving Anaconda.
Oh.
Shout out to LL Cool J for surviving the whole movie.
People see.
Yeah, like it doesn't happen often. Daniel Kaluuya, thanks Jordan Peele for writing that properly. Even in the movie Us that he did too, they all survived.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's been too long.
Yeah.
You can see it, you can see it. But-
no, you're right for that. Because being the star character doesn't save you anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. As we've seen in some other shows, you could get popped.
I always root for black people in horror movies. I'm like, I don't
Me
know.
too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was
Like,
like,
your ass better live. I don't care.
Mhm.
I feel like in like the black people in horror movies, they're smart. They're not making like the dumb decisions, but they still wind up like.
Yeah, it's like, how? We're the first ones to leave the house.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Now, if you notice, that show is more intricate. Like it's not like they're
Yeah, it's something real convoluted.
It was like the killer was waiting for them in the
Mhm.
shower.
I'm like, now that's racially
Like,
motivated.
yeah, there's
dog.
no way that this very like cautious black man walk into this.
Mhm.
Like,
Did y'all?
he had to catch him.
Well, did you watch the that new Texas Chainsaw? he was, that black guy was one of the first people to die, and the way he died was more, I think it was more tragic than everyone else. Like, it was like the door swinging, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. No, I never.
Like,
The door.
That sounds
the door was
Let's
like
get the
swinging,
visuals.
and it was so like, it was a good shot. Like, it was a good shot, but it was like, well, why they made him, it's like every time a black person dies, either non-ceremoniously or just like the most longest, like, torturous death I've ever seen.
Speaking
Not
of
by a
horror
door. It was like, you gotta look it up.
Yeah, you
You gotta look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Nice.
Speaking of horror movies, I remember watching, I think it was Freddy versus Jason. And Kelly Rowland's in there, and she's about to get killed by Freddy. And he said, the first thing he says is, dark meat. Like, because he's not.
Yes,
Ain't no way! No, what? He said dark meat. She hasn't got killed by Jason, but I was like, nah, this got it.
Yeah, he said, yeah.
What?
Freddy Krueger is, he's like,
He's the one with
he's
scary
the
films.
worst. He's the worst.
He said dark meat.
No, I'm not over
Before he killed
that.
Kelly Rowland.
Ain't no way, dog.
That was a different
The
time.
people you try to get me
Yeah, that came out like 02.
It
What?
was
That was different times.
Yeah.
Different time.
50 was still in the club, like, well, just before, like, nah, that's crazy.
Honestly, you don't even need to be black to be the token black person.
You really don't. You really
just
don't.
be the most.
You could be black,
diverse,
adjacent, or just
most
the
ethnic. You know what I'm saying?
the most melanated in the crew.
Exactly. Like an Arab. Most Arabs will say, like, if they grew up in a place where there's not a lot of other black people, they'll say that like they got treated like black people.
Mhm.
Or even like in like how. I'm sorry, that's not something.
Go for it. Go for it,
That's
dog.
not-
You on the ledge? Let's dance. I'm here with you. I'm here with you.
No, but she's saying like the token black person, and even like how we were saying earlier,
Mm.
it's like they're writing black people out of that position. Even
Yeah.
in, like in the movies and such. I feel like the whole notion of being a token black person is like you're flattening all black people
Yeah.
into like one type of person, and that's the issue. Like
Yeah, it creates an archetype
if
and
we're
a
appealing to
stereotype.
like white people, then there's gonna be a mostly white cast because that's relatable.
Yes.
And
yes,
every
yes,
maybe
yes, yes.
1 out of 5 white people have a black friend, so that's relatable. The one black friend, but the mostly black friend, like that's not like a experience most people
Yeah,
could,
nah.
could really like get.
Yeah.
Um,
And not only is that informed by the audience, or not only is that informed by the writers, it's very much informed by the audience because you can tell when characters in the show are written with the white gaze, G-A-Z-E, in mind. You can always tell because there's certain stereotypes and characteristics that they exhibit and they like damn near embody like a mascot for blackness or something, or
Not
whatever
real
demographic they
person.
occupy,
Right, yeah.
that is appeasing and like just mellow enough for them to feel comfortable, like this is somebody I can be friends with, but they're not aggressive enough where it's like, oh damn, they're reminding me that they're black and they're not
Scary.
white. Yeah, like they're not quote unquote intimidating.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like another form of tokenism.
That's why the black best friend, like, she's so supportive of everything.
Yeah.
She's there as a friend.
And you never like, they
Her
never
own-
fully
her own
develop them.
stuff.
They
Yeah.
never fully develop them ever. They're just there supporting characters.
Or like they're there for comic relief.
All the
Most of the
time,
time.
yeah.
Look at Green Book, Driving Miss Daisy, both basically the same movie, and it's a black man that like drove this white guy across the country, and like he was just there as like some kind of guide, and they're almost always in like servitude to a white character.
Right.
So that's another thing. All right, where were we? Tokenism, your question,
Like,
yes.
like,
Okay, so the question I have is like, I guess relating to tokenism is like, do you feel like with movies, like looking at Tyler Perry, for instance, do you feel like he pushes that stereotype continuously with all the movies, like well, having a black struggling mother, whatever, all that stuff? Do you feel like he helps?
Yeah.
He pushes those stereotypes and.
He's reliant.
You think he does it on purpose?
That's a
Because
good.
when I saw this
that's
thing where he
good.
said he uses the Medea voice in bed, I was like,
Oh.
is he doing it on purpose now, or is it like, is he just joking? Because I'm like,
I like how TP's always
he
coming
uses
as black.
the voice.
Like
Yeah.
some shape or form.
He's a recurring
that's
character.
always
Yeah,
coming up.
I don't think the way that he writes them is the most like if
He's
for
not
a black,
revolutionary,
It's not the way I would
progressive.
want a black man to write a black woman. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's the way I would assume like an Asian man would write a black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, it's like outside
the
of
most extreme stereotype.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that they know is TV. Only
Mhm.
time they interact, like most non-black people interact with black culture is TV. It's
Yeah,
not-
and like
it's
other
not black
forms of
friendly.
caricature
Most
and
people.
stereotypes.
So they're like, oh, Tyler Perry, that's real life to them. Like that's
Mhm.
actually how they think black people like behave. I think it's detrimental to us as a group. Of black people.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we like. So there's a balance to it because he gets a lot of black actors and actresses a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work that they otherwise might not get.
Yeah.
Because a lot of black women are typecast into roles where there can't be a lead or they are the help. Literally, there's a movie called The Help. And, you know what I'm saying? Like it's self-explanatory, so self-explanatory. Like there's even like a niche genre of black people being in like a subservient role. Like you can find the
The
genre
white
of
savior
movies.
movies, right? Too.
Oh my God! You remember 12 Years a Slave? Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
In the
Oh
movie,
my God.
Brad Pitt. Hey, you're free. Like it was some weird shit. It was like Brad Pitt wanted black people to know that he cared about black people somehow.
Even
and he
in
just
the
even in-
years.
And even in Django, because I'm forgetting the German guy in there, he was a white savior character, but
Yes.
the way he enacted it was just different. It was written differently than it's normally
It's the
written.
same character, though.
But it's the same guy.
Well,
it's the same trope.
It's a white person.
Because he owned
Right.
Django the entire time, but they make like their quote unquote friendship and the relationship that's on screen such that you're like, oh, they're companions. No, he owns
Nope.
Django.
And he's doing his thing. Like,
Exactly, and he put Django to the task to do a job for him. With a
and
bounty.
it just happened that okay, these are slavers.
Yeah.
And you used to be a slave.
Yeah.
And they happened to do
They
some
took,
bad
they
stuff
took
to you.
your wife.
You
Well,
know
that's
what
the
I'm
guy I'm
saying?
going after, so we could team up.
It's inconsequential to him now.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. He's there to kill these people. You
Mhm.
help me, so you're just another black person now. You like
Exactly.
every black person in that movie is used by somebody.
Mhm.
And I felt like at the end of the movie, right? Django's a great movie, by the way.
It is. I saw that like
Check
3
it out.
times in 2 days.
It's a great movie, by the way, but like you can kind of tell it's written by a white person because
Tarantino.
it's just kind of the racism is too on the nose. It's
Yeah. They dropped the
It
hard
was
on
much
that
more
many
insidious
times.
in real life. Like, slaves wouldn't even get acknowledged by people most of the time. But like, he made sure that every slave in every like scene was being degraded directly.
Mhm.
Like, the white people had so much time to just go and chuck insults at this.
Yeah, I think the
It
first
was just
time we
overdone.
saw
Right.
Leo DiCaprio's character, Mr. Candy, on screen, it was a Mandingo fight.
Like so.
And it ended so violently with one black man killing another. So, but that's a besides point. To get back to tokenism
I mean, yeah.
and
Sorry.
to just answer the question you were asking, it was about Tyler Perry movies. Yeah, I think his movies might be the opposite of might show the opposite of tokenism because it's a mostly, if not all, black cast. They're just all scripted with certain stereotypes and archetypes that you would see in black communities, but then to like a caricature level, like it's just exaggerated.
Yeah, but do you
I
feel
was,
like-
I was gonna say, sorry, not to answer your question. I feel like, yeah, Tyler Perry has stereotyped images, characters,
Mhm.
who then we also see as tokens. Like, it's the same thing. We just see them in a mostly black movie, mostly black cast. But that same character, like the caricaturely exaggerated, like, just stereotypes, it continues.
Yeah, they could have been plucked out of some other predominantly white movie.
So he's still putting out like a message about black people that's very one-dimensional a lot of the time. So
It's like digestible to white people.
Exactly.
Like white people in the South love Tyler Perry.
Mhm.
They love Tyler Perry movies,
Especially in the
That's-
Bible Belt because he also appeals to like the Catholic religious sect of people.
Now, honestly, the movies he always has like some central religion.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's always very
Absolutely.
central in his movies.
Yeah.
But I feel like another part that I guess you can. No, you asked if you think that Tyler. I'm sorry. What did you ask? You said you think Tyler Perry movies are like detrimental or something like that.
Like, yeah, I guess reinforcing that the stereotypes, especially for like the white person, like a white
Mhm.
perception of black people.
I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
It's all good, bro.
New to this guy, sorry.
Before I get canceled for this, because I don't watch movies like that.
Don't-
Why you
So
preface
this semester was the first time I started watching Tyler Perry movies.
Welcome.
That's not a bad thing, no.
I'm pretty bad.
You weren't
I'll
listening.
hit every other movie. But I watched him get movies, and I also watched his more like
His, like,
phenomenal-
plays?
Yeah, like
Oh,
the-
those are good though.
Those are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The singing are the singing is 10 out of 10.
Taraji.
oh, acrimony.
Acrimony. Oh my God, it's a bad thing.
That's awful.
I watched Fall from Grace.
Oh, that's another one. That's another one. Yeah, Fall
Yeah.
from Grace.
Acrimony was Like it had to be.
The crazy thing is, Tyler Perry don't
She was
like.
the villain. Why was she the villain?
How could she possibly be? She supports this man from day one, and somehow they wrote her. Oh my God, no.
He don't let nobody in the writing room either.
They wrote her in. No,
It's all times.
No, I saw that nigga as a villain. I did not see. That man pissed me off when she killed him. I'm like, I
No,
don't
but he
support
didn't
violence.
die officially.
Well, when she was
He
about
left.
to kill him, I was just so satisfied. I'm like, I'm glad this douchebag, like, he was getting, you cheat on this woman. This woman has to mortgage her house.
Which movie are we talking about again?
Acrimony.
Y'all go ahead and watch it so you don't feel iced out.
I was just like, nah.
But in regards to like the Tyler Perry movie part of things, Medea movies, everyone sees the stereotypes because there's so many black people in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody plays with like these stereotypes.
R.I.P. Cicely Tyson.
I'm like, in those movies,
Maya Angelou.
there's not that many like characters that matter. So I'm like, are they playing like the token stereotype role, like, oh, the black couple, and then everyone cheats on like
Tiana
every
Taylor
movie?
was in it.
And I've never seen Taraji be a villain before. So.
Yeah, that was
Or I guess she was the hero turned villain and stuff. I don't know. I was
She was
like,
the ride or die.
just
Yeah.
make them the token and then take them out of their token roles. That's what I was thinking he does.
You know what I feel
Because
like
he
it
gives
is?
them the traits, they're like
The
stereotypical.
stereotypes, right, yeah.
And then he tries to turn them into something else through character development during the movie.
Yeah, but there is no character development. Like, there's no character development, and you can go back and watch all Tyler Perry movies. I urge you to. There, from the beginning to the end, the lesson is that you have to go through something hard in order to be happy. That's what the lesson is for every movie. When Diary of a Mad Black Woman, she was like getting hit, and then her husband got paralyzed, right? So like something bad happens to you if you're a bad person. Okay, there's no character development there. She's still mad at him.
Yeah,
She beats the shit out of him.
his movies are always like some form of allegory with like biblical undertones to it every
Facts.
time.
Nah,
But he grew up in the church, so it makes perfect sense.
It's like there's no, for the main character, there's never a point where they're changing the way they think about anything. So like this woman who's been like battered and bruised and whatnot, she's just straight through this movie waiting to be saved by
the light-skinned dude
with
by Michael Ealy.
And then that's it. She meets this new guy, and she's cool. All that trauma, she will never happen.
Yup,
And
all
she's
black
just-
man out of her life.
She's just dope now. You know what I'm saying? There's no development. They just, I went from a dark-skinned mean guy to a light-skinned happy guy that was nice.
Yeah,
Like that's every movie, bro.
Yeah, who didn't have as much money, but he had a heart of gold.
Yeah, I feel so.
Like what?
No, I'm gonna bring up something kind of.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I have a question like because we're talking about like all these like tokens and like I guess like in fictional context. But I was wondering like do you guys like know like any like real life context of tokens? Like because I know like in my I can definitely talk about like a lot of my courses where I definitely become the token and I'm just like I don't know everything like
yes.
But yeah, that was my question.
As we're like people at PWI.
Yeah, I think we all have at least one class where we're like one of maybe four. Maybe
We have all been the token.
4 to 3 to 1
Whether
to
we
2
knew it or we
black
didn't.
people. So like I don't know. For me personally, the way that I speak and the way that I carry myself, it doesn't really matter who's in the room. Like I'm gonna be the same type of person. So some people will get like a glimpse of me and they'll think I'm one way. Like that's cool. That's like for them. So like I pride myself on not trying to curb other people's perceptions of me, because then that's when you get like messed up, right? So like if you approach a situation authentic, the only way you can be is that. But if you approach it fake, and then now this person either likes the fakeness or they don't like the fakeness, now you have to constantly like make these little adjustments.
Yeah, trying
your behavior,
limiting the code switching that you do.
Exactly,
And
because
presenting your authentic self as often as
like,
possible.
really
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially in a PWI.
Yeah, not trying to make yourself palatable. Like, nah, dog, this is it. This is me.
Because I gotta be honest, I've been in classes where people say wild stuff, like political science classes.
Yeah.
Wild things.
No worse.
We're talking about like gun control legislation, and then they bring up gang violence in the inner city, and they think that it's like, like
Not
like
to play
a
devil's
1-2-9
advocate, but
Right.
let me. I would like to.
Like
Exactly. Could you also say like, come on.
it's like why do you need to have the perspective of the oppressor when it's so heavily like inundated in the society? So
Bro,
that
they're just
because
playing
that's
their role.
opinion.
That's them.
That's their own opinion.
But it's
they just-
implied.
They're trying to be politically correct.
But it's implied,
framing
like,
it.
I feel like you shouldn't have to say like oh, what about what the white guy thinks? Because that's what we're all fucking learning. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Like that's it's implied when we come to a place like this. So I feel like, yeah, like being a token, like even in that situation where I'm being perceived by these old white people, I am a token, and they are putting everything that I'm doing, and they're putting it on every other black person they see.
Yep.
So that's not on like them. Like obviously it's on their individual person, but like on the black people that they're imprinting me on or imprinting whatever they see on, like that's not on them. So like part of being token is you have to be authentic. Otherwise, like you're gonna start like you make things harder for other black people.
Yeah.
Like if you're a black person that's very like super accommodating to white people, like
you're the worst
you,
kind. Sorry.
You all know.
You're the worst kind.
They want to be the token.
Like they're scooching in at the end of the table, like pulling up a chair. Like those people are detriment to everybody in this room.
The worst.
Like they literally make our lives harder.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be that
At the
person.
same time, like something just being here at Stony Brook and meeting people that like have grown up around a lot of white people, like it's a survival, it's a defense mechanism in a way. Like them trying to be so with like, so I have now more like empathy for people who have grown up around white people, and now you can tell they're just so like, I don't know the word for it, but you guys know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you
like,
mean.
So you watch like an identity crisis in real time.
Exactly.
And it's like more than just.
But it hurts us all, like you said. It's stuff playing into stereotype or playing into it.
It reminds me of Anthony, where you got about.
Oh yeah, but I was gonna get in a conversation.
Oh, go ahead, please jump in.
Now when it comes to blackness and tokenism, that's one thing. But when it comes to like black West Indians and tokenism, that is something totally different. You get the character with the bad Jamaican accent, with the dreads. They usually do some kind of spiritual witchcraft or something like y'all seen Pirates of the Caribbean. You know that.
I was gonna say she's my favorite though.
That Calypso, that's something that just like I be like, wow. And then like being a West Indian is like, as myself, like a lot of times the same things happen. People will put those stereotypes onto you. Like I will not tell you the time
Can you
people
talk
have walked.
Jamaican?
And the thing is, I'm not even Jamaican. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
I remember like this was a personal experience. Like I remember when I like brought my mom to school, and like the students were like, "Oh, like your mother talks like Sebastian from." Yeah, and I was like,
"Explode her in the court."
They don't know where that comes from.
That's their only point of reference.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's
they
their
don't
only point of reference.
That's
when we
annoying.
talk about tokenism and entertainment and media, it connects because that's what you see in real life.
It's really all point. So many things are point of reference. Because if you do not have the proper context and your only exposure has been one thing, you're going to think only one thing. Yeah. Like, I'm Cameroonian. I came over to the States when I was 9, and when we were in Cameroon still, we had housed this Japanese man, Takashi, if you're still out there, not Takashi 6ix9ine, completely different
He's
person.
Japanese.
Yeah, he's Japanese.
It's not
And we housed him for a certain amount of time because he was studying in Cameroon. As a young African child with no context for Asian men outside of Kung Fu movies, I called him Uncle Jackie Chan. Because I had no point of it. Right now, it sounds crazy to hear that. It's so insensitive, but I only know that now. As a 4-year-old African child, my only exposure, it's adorable until you're like older. And if I was still doing that now, that's crazy. But like, as somebody with no point of reference for like Asian men or Asian people outside of like the Kung Fu movies and like martial arts,
but that's more.
That was just it. That was just, it was what it was. But the fact that I was that young also tempers it. But now I know better, so I do better, and I don't say that. It's when you look at the grown adults who should have more access to the greater world outside of themselves, and they have access to either educational points of reference, the library, like leaving your town, something like that, where they have that ability, and they still choose to be ignorant or hateful or what have you. It's like, no, you gotta try harder. You gotta try. You can't be around this many decades and you still hold these things.
You gotta try.
It's like your responsibility.
Yeah, you have to be. It's socially irresponsible to not break out of those bad habits, because it not only hurts you, it hurts people around you, and you're eventually. Well, I hope you didn't have progeny and offspring, and then you continue teaching them the same things you know. But if you don't expand like your horizon, so to speak, and you get different points of reference and travel outside of like what you know locally, you just don't know otherwise. Then you're 4-year-old Julio calling Takashi Uncle Jackie Chan. And like, we can't have the world like that. We can't.
Yeah, but sadly, that's common.
It's super common. Super common.
I feel like that's less disrespectful though.
Yeah, because it's a 4-year-old. It's a 4-year-old
A
child.
Jamaican Sebastian, or like calling a random Asian person Jackie Chan, like Jackie Chan's someone that they admire. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but
that's like a public figure.
But that's still something where it's like that's not
Jamaicans
me.
don't know who the hell that Rob Lobster is. I'm telling you right now that that's not a popular figure.
Yeah.
Jamaican culture.
I think that's definitely like a subsect where like you either know or you don't.
It's
know.
appropriation.
Yeah, it's appropriation.
Yeah,
There
so
you
they
go.
don't know.
Absolutely.
They don't know because no one talked to the Jamaican delegation.
Yeah.
They're casting Sebastian.
Now I need to find out who voiced him because why?
I guarantee you he's not. He
I think
probably
it was a
Trinidadian.
black man. No, he wasn't even Trinidadian. He
Not
was a black man. He actually said the accent that he was trying to do was Trinidadian.
Oh yeah.
Oh my!
You
God.
failed even more.
It's worse. It's worse than that.
Yeah, for real. But that Disney money alone.
Oh yeah.
The Little Mermaid did numbers. Royalties, yeah.
He got
getting
keychains.
forever.
Yeah, he's rich forever, bro.
Right. I mean, that also just speaks to why we see so many tokens. Like it's it's money, it's opportunity for people in the entertainment industry.
Like even the late great Sidney Poitier, some of the roles he took on, it's like, dog, you did what?
It's the only acting job.
Those were the only acting jobs you could
Yeah,
get.
I
But now,
respect
this
it.
is way different. You do not have to take that role. You do not have to play that person. You do not. You can at least like try to buck the trend and like ask the person who wrote the script, the producer, the director, be like, yo, dog, you sure you want to go this direction with this character? Like, I don't know if I'm fully comfortable playing them like this. Why are they written like this? Like,
I disagree. I'm gonna disagree right there because if you're a black person being given an opportunity, you are already out on a limb because you're easily replaceable. There's a lot of black people looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
So if you're the black person looking for an opportunity that's giving me a problem about my script, you're going.
Oh, you're going.
Because
yeah.
you're not the lead. Because I didn't write a script with a black lead.
Yeah.
Black people were just supporting characters, and if they mouth off to me, then they're
going. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's another sad reality.
We get a little overzealous in like the scope which we think we can affect change, and it can be detrimental to you personally, right? So like
Personally,
go ahead.
no, yeah.
Like you as a person, like let's say you want to be the person like Monique who wants to speak out on an issue that you think is important. Like now you're blackballed. Now you can't get a job. Now they're trying to affect your pockets.
Your
You know what I'm
livelihood.
saying?
But
Because
they came back around though.
After years and after like campaigns of it,
Yeah.
imagine how much work she lost because of that.
Dave Chappelle, there's others
He
though.
he specifically sat out though. He didn't just like give up the opportunity, or he had to take
he
it
was
away from
offered,
him.
but when he said no and went to Africa, they blackballed him. They gave media companies so much money to run all of these ads, or not even ads, like full op-eds. Like they gave people money to write columns about this man being crazy for wanting to go to Africa. Like, and then they
That's
got the
so
whole
true.
world. They got 8-year-old Malachi thinking Dave Chappelle's crazy. Why would he stop doing this show and go to Africa?
He's
He's
crazy.
crazy.
The same thing with Eartha Kitt back in the 60s. When she confronted like President Johnson about like the war. She was like blackballed for like 10, 20 years, and it was like finally to get. I think it was maybe it might have been Boomerang.
Boomerang was the
right
first time I saw on screen again. Yeah, that's so wild.
They pay the tokens handsomely.
I was thinking about
Beautifully. Oh,
That's all I was thinking of.
there we go. And now we can expand the conversation to black quote unquote black tokens, not only in Hollywood, but then to like more political places. And like in places that actually like affect change, like with Will Smith, he's had one of the most squeaky clean track records.
No scandals.
He is the most liked black man this side of Obama, and I'll stand on that.
He probably over about
Denzel maybe, but like I mean like on a global scale. Not I can't say Denzel's as global as Will Smith.
He's
Okay, that's a whole nother-
Bro, Fresh Prince,
Even
bro,
like
he-
social media
the Fresh Prince is
as
gonna ring more bells than the Equalizer than Training Day. Let's be
They're
honest. Two different tiers.
Two different generations as well.
Exactly, two
Yeah,
different
yeah,
generations. That's very
yeah,
true.
yeah.
So like Will Smith being like as likable and as like marketable at one point or another as Obama, he's done great things and has been clean this whole time up until like the recent scandals and what have you. He smacks Chris Rock, which he shouldn't have done. I can say that like that. I don't condone the behavior, but I understand. And then he gets effectively blackballed. He's banned for 10 years. He can still win an award, but he can't go.
Ray Rice beat his child until his testicles popped, and he played the game like a month later.
Yeah, that's a different industry, but like you see the way Ray Rice is a completely different. That's a completely different, different monster,
different
token.
Yeah.
But like Will Smith having held that position for decades and being like the prime black man, and then the fall from grace happening like that. Like they just as highly as they held him up, they dropped him right down. Like we haven't heard a word from him since that apology. We don't even know when the Red Table Talk is gonna happen, if it's gonna happen.
All the projects and everything.
So would you guys all say, or I want to do different things, do you feel like tokens are very unprotected?
Wait, what?
Tokens are
Are they
unprotected
unprotected?
in
Unprotected from
whatever
what?
aspect. Yeah, I mean, well, with the example of Will, right now, like if his career, well, I don't think his career is like
Over. It's
Wait,
not.
you think Will Smith's a
not
token?
close.
Like a token
But-
black man?
Hollywood
He
treats him
doesn't
as
But
such.
do you
Bro,
feel like
Hollywood
Yeah.
definitely treats him as
yeah?
such.
So I mean,
Okay.
share.
Okay, so I feel that, okay, so I like to think of it as like, if you're a white token, I feel like they will fall from grace more easier than somebody that's supported by the black community. Just because I feel like we've seen like people knowing about like R. Kelly for mad long. Like it's when people in your own community might know stuff or like things that are cancelable, but then with the white community, if you're like it's the same thing with Will Smith. Like now, I guess he wasn't like as supported from the black community as much. So most of what he was standing on was his white audience. They all dropped him,
quick.
honest, yeah.
Quick.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they aren't as protected, but you'll get way higher with them. Like you know what I mean? Like you can get up that ladder when you're a token within a white audience.
Off that, I agree with you literally just saying that the token black people aren't protected once they stop being the token.
Yep.
So-
Once they step out of that role.
You were gonna say more.
No, like that's the way, like Will stopped being the token as soon as he stepped out of line, and then they're like, oh, here he is being the stereotypical black guy. Yeah,
Yep,
mad.
there it is.
Intimidated.
There it is.
Yeah, intimidating.
Anger.
And like you said, white audience that supported him as more than like the black people at sometimes just stopped being like, oh wow, he shouldn't have done that, and then boom, his stock just tanks.
You have to
I
say
mean,
the
not even-
definition of what they want you to be as a token.
Yeah, not even only that, I feel like Will, like, the reason why he had like a mostly white audience is because like America, which is, you know, where industry he's in, like, has a mostly white audience. Like, they didn't really have much of a choice. Like, he needed to appeal to them to get to the level that he did get to.
Even his
So,
rap
like-
music appealed to white people too.
Yeah, like,
And he was clown for that. Clown, being the clean rapper.
That's facts.
yeah.
Still getting jiggy with it though.
To answer that question, so
Oh, sorry, but Tyrese, sorry to
sorry,
cut you
no,
off
go
real quick. Hold on to your thought.
I'm gonna try.
Tyrese, so were you saying though that like to get to a level of like high status fame, you have to become a token? Was that?
Yeah. Even Oprah, I feel like she's a token too.
You have to know how to market yourself to white people. You
And
have
MJ wrote the book on it, guys. He became a white.
Yeah. He had a disease. We're not going. We're not
You
going
know that
there.
disease
We're not
is
going
fake.
there.
That disease-
No, that was in his autopsy. He had lupus and he had vitiligo.
Okay.
But
Well,
that
you know that that's not what it does, right?
No.
No, vitiligo.
We're gonna leave MJ alone.
Wait, okay.
let's not talk about
That's a different
You
episode.
have a point, Malachi.
Yeah, you do have
I'm
a
sorry
point.
about Michael
You
Jackson.
do have a
Sorry.
point though. You do have a point.
Yes. So we speak about tokens being protected. It depends. Like you said, it depends, right? We know Carlton from
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the black community hates Carlton. Why does the black community hate Carlton? Now, like in general, like even the actor, not just the person.
Wait, hate him now or
Yeah,
back then?
like back then,
The character?
like
Because he was super whitewashed.
He was
the person in real life that played Carlton.
I'm blanking on
got,
his name right
I
now.
forgot his name too, but he got like death.
Alfonso Ribeiro.
His name don't even. So and he got older and he looked more less and less black. So he was so hated by the black community because of what he represented, right?
Yeah.
So it's the whole respectability politics,
Yep, respectability
right? So
politics. Yeah.
when you're a black man and you can like exude respectable energy, like you don't curse, you wear your pants at your waist, above your waist, you got high waters, you wear the little ascot? Are you wearing a polo Lacoste? If you are literally like,
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm joking.
That's crazy.
I don't know. What
If you
you're
were-
talking. So like,
That was
if
fine.
you are
Edit.
like emulating white culture to the point where it's like white people will look at you and they'll be comfortable, that token is the most protected person.
Yeah.
So like when that comes to mind, like that type of person is like, to me, you know that dude, Michael Irvin. Oh snap! The football player that gets on. And
Michael
says,
Strahan?
No, not that
No,
straight.
it's Irving.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with
And
glasses and
he
everything.
says that black. Basically, he's like a Republican. He's always on Fox News,
Oh, Lord.
and he's basically like a Republican talking piece.
Yeah.
And the point
Nonsense,
is,
yeah.
he's made more money speaking
Mhm.
on behalf of black people on these white networks than he
Yeah.
did playing football.
Yeah.
And he was like a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you are
It's lucrative.
when you are very
Lucrative.
tightly in that box, that token box, you are very heavily rewarded. And as long as you stay in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't step out the box.
Mhm.
Don't do that. I mean, you should, but you should never get in the box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as long as you don't do it on a public like scale where they can see you stepping out of the box. You could go back and then like undo your freshly brushed hair and then you got a full fro and then you got this and that later, but don't let them see you doing
OJ.
that.
Don't do OJ.
Don't let them
Don't
see
do what OJ
you.
did.
Yo,
Like-
I'm not black. I'm OJ.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
like
that's-
that's a whole. There should be. I'm pretty sure there are college courses dedicated to like just him as a person and that the sensation that was O.J. Simpson. So
He got white privilege, bro.
oh he definitely does. Like
That's crazy.
it's wild how much he was able to get away with, and then once he did get away with allegedly or whatever he
Yo,
was.
he murdered that.
He did it. He did it. He definitely did it. But when he did that, and then white America saw him actually win and not get punished,
They're like,
I think that
"Damn."
flipped
They were
every.
baffled.
Bro, I think I honest to God, I wasn't alive to see it, but just based on like people I've spoken to who were alive at the time who saw the trial, one of my former managers, he's like, yeah, we turned the OJ trial on at work. Like we
Yeah,
stopped
it was
what we're
tense.
doing.
It was tense
And
in the whole
like
country.
that, I think that flipped the switch for white America, and there was a mean backlash against the black community based on the fact he was able to get away with that. And then we could bring it to today's context, and then look into politics again. You have people who occupy roles of power. You now have Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Eric.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. That's her full name. Let me give the respect she deserves. And Kamala Harris, and then you could look at Obama, Eric Adams. Now you have all these black people who occupy these roles of power in a white supremacist system. They have no other choice. It's impossible to get into those roles without being tokens. There's no way in hell you're going to be allowed by a white supremacist system to occupy a role with so much power and to climb the ranks the way you do, with them putting not only their votes but their money and their word and their like reputations behind you, without you appeasing them and doing some kind of concession that says, all right, they're black, but they're safe. We can control them enough and like get them to push our propaganda or our agenda enough where this is okay. We can trust that they're going to do what we need them to. They're not going to step out of line, because you will never see like Al Sharpton did become president for a reason. Like Jesse Jackson couldn't be president for a reason. You can think of any other black person that's ever run. They didn't become president or like occupy some of these roles for a reason. They didn't play the game, so to speak. And if you look at if you've seen the movie Sorry to Bother You with Lakeith Stanfield, he played by Omari Hardwick is a character that played the game and became very successful, very high powered in his position at the job they had, because he played into the character and the token enough for them to be comfortable, and then they allowed him to have the privilege. They allowed him to have the power and all of that.
Yeah.
But without playing those roles, you have a hard time, because you could stand on the black community, and I highly encourage every black person to get your black community behind you, because we are necessary. We are so needed, especially black women, because black women are the most consistent like crowd that you can like, or audience and like fan base you can have.
What you were saying though about like playing into the game, right? Like we are all students, and Caitlin, you
Some of us to get here had to play the game.
Right, yeah, you brought it up. talking about our personal lives, so I do want to know, like, from the group, how you guys just see yourselves navigating that, avoiding. I mean, can you choose to be? Well, I don't know.
Sometimes you accidentally become a token, like you just happen to be the only person in class.
It's never your choice.
It's never voluntary, yeah. Because by the time you realize you're the token, you're like,
It's too late. You look around the room and
You've been that token. You've been that token for a while. By the time you wake up,
everybody else looked around the room and they know already.
But you did.
Like you just sit, and then you look around, everybody sees you, acknowledge that you're the only black kid.
Right. Exactly. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah. I think in high school, well, first off, my high school is definitely predominantly white, a very small black community. It was all girls as well. Very conservative, very Christian, Catholic high school.
You're on Long Island?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I think I know.
Oh my gosh.
And no, I think it wasn't by choice, but I believe that I was the token child in the school. But what you were saying before, you were saying like get the black community behind you. It's hard though
when you have that.
And I never wanted to be chosen, I guess, but I guess just my personality and how I carry myself is more reserved and quiet. I guess I just fell into that position, but
like your demeanor is palatable to that.
Yeah. But for me, it was hard for black people to actually take me seriously and all this stuff. And actually, it was actually the white people who actually were the ones to listen to me or actually care for me and all this stuff, because I believe it was a jealousy thing. And I never wanted it to be like this, and it's sad, but well, I don't know what I can do about it now, but Stony Brook is so much different. I feel so much more comfortable here. I feel like I have a voice and all this stuff, but being in such a small high school where the mentality is very just conservative and straight and all that stuff, your own black people will fail you. And it was, the competition was crazy.
Yeah.
Like even just being smart and black, that's a token right there, because they don't expect you to be smart. And so it's like.
Oh, you're well spoken, you're articulate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You
just
actually
that
speak so
alone.
well.
And that's what you also have to remind yourself of, that your own people can be jealous of you. And they have something, an agenda against you because you fulfill what white people are like, oh my gosh, look at her.
That's what
Everyone
we want.
should be like her. Exactly.
You're not like the others. Literally hearing those words. I have literally heard those words. And it's the worst. It's never a compliment. And like to what you just said, you walk such a fine tightrope, because not only like at some moments it feels like, damn, the black people aren't really messing with me, because like here I am meeting these standards that whiteness would like me to, but I'm not playing into whiteness. I'm just kind of like, this is just who I am.
I'm trying to be
but
great.
then you can't be, you're trying to be great. You just want to make it through. You're just trying to get through high school, get your damn diploma, move on. But then you can't lean too much into the white people who are there for you, so to speak, because they will so quickly either turn their backs or assassinate your character, like was done with Will Smith, if you show or remind them that I'm indeed black.
Let them touch you in a way that now they're scared.
Let it be a context where like the N-word's being thrown around, and then for either the first time or you just voice you're uncomfortable with it. Now the whole demeanor and their treatment of you changes immediately. Like something with your hair, something about like your upbringing or whatever have you, you're telling stories, and they realize like, oh damn, I'm pretty far removed from you. The only thing we share together is this honors English class. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, did I just tap? I struck a nerve. We all took honors English. We all listened to white people say the word nigger when we read To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, not just. But Andrew, go ahead.
I'll say for me, my experience is different from a lot of you guys, because while I am from Long Island, my town Almont is predominantly black, and my school is predominantly black. So I was around black students all the time, black and Latino. So I never really encountered the experience of being a token until I left that bubble. Like for example, going to a Mighty UN conference in Princeton, where I gave speeches in front of the students, and I was like the only white person within like my coalition.
The only black person?
only black person.
White is so pervasive, man. Fix your coffee.
Like,
So
Broccoli,
that
man.
experience, yeah.
yeah, I was the only black person within my like group, and giving the speech to people would be like, "Oh, you spoke so well. Like, well, I didn't expect that." Blah blah. blah.
Oh.
It's very,
They say
especially
that-
like being black, having like a taper, like afro, like.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I don't know about like, if this is like the same thing, but I remember like when I was in like elementary school or whatever, they always used to be like, "Oh, you sound like a white girl," and they used to be
Dog.
like,
In fact, that's another thing.
Yo, I almost
You see,
got
in my own crib, tokenism created Childish Gambino. That's another topic.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Because going back to what you said with like the black community and sometimes feeling you, like attacking you. Within my school, I would get the problems of, "Oh, you talk white." Like, "Oh, why you talk white?"
Yeah.
Yes, always.
Dog.
I always question like, what does that mean?
Bro, between your name, the way you present as a person, and what they assume you to be, and then they meet you, and it's like, oh, interesting.
wait,
Just to be clear, sorry. Just to be clear though about talking white. So, what do you think that was like code for? Like, why were they saying that?
I didn't talk like this. I didn't like use slang.
You don't talk.
Right.
You don't talk.
Right. Was that also
maybe
for
you
you?
gotta like, I feel like
We should have never given white people the word ratchet.
I think it's just the words that I use because I grew up in like Harlem, so a lot of people like
non-black people saying nigga. Yeah, I've been.
not even just that. Like it's just the like some of the words like
Maybe
it just
wrong.
some people are just not articulate. Like
Mm.
and to be honest, and like it's okay. Like I can understand,
Yeah.
understand. That's how we communicate
Yeah.
or whatever. But then like when I started being like in elementary school, I'm like. Oh my God, that was ginormous. And they're like, what? It's me.
Hilarious.
Right.
Why use so many syllables?
I get you.
It was
I
big.
get it.
I used to, because I was like, I was pretty good at like English and all that stuff, so I
Yeah.
was using
Right.
Mhm.
all
Where'd
the
you get it?
vocabulary. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
But I was gonna ask you, like, do you feel like you, like, maybe from your friendship, like the white girls, like, do you think you gained something, or like there was something that you might have benefited from? Because I was just thinking, I'm like, I wonder if they took me like ski trip or something.
Well,
We're going to Bermuda.
if I were to talk about my experience going over to my white friend's house
Oof.
now, it's their parents that really exposed it for me. Italian parents on one end.
Oh, jeez.
Were like, yeah.
They think
I
they're
remember
black, too.
the brother actually, and my friend told me, he's like, "Oh, you're one of the black people that don't do crack." And all that stuff.
Ain't no way.
In what
Is this
year?
like 2005?
I literally.
Maybe it was
Mind you, this is the onset of the opioid epidemic.
Yeah,
So I don't
It was
know.
the biggest compliment that they
It
could
was
give
the-
me, I guess.
Jesus
Arnold, I
Christ.
see right now.
like, what? That is so
Yeah.
terrible.
Right. Yeah, they think it's a compliment.
Yeah.
They think,
But if we're gonna talk about benefits, yes, like in
Oh,
terms
yes.
of like the administration of the
Mhm.
school,
Yup.
like them needing a leader, them needing someone to speak,
Yup.
it was me.
Yup.
I was the captain of my speech and debate team.
Mhm.
I
the
was
token.
I
Yeah.
was always doing the prayers for the school, like they
Yeah.
always
You were an excellent black woman.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
put you in everything.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
No,
they know that you have those.
exactly.
Yep. Yeah, they
But
exist. They
it's like,
exist.
it's still like as I feel like it's important to still say like you as a person, as a student, like you were good.
Oh, yeah, no,
you
absolutely.
deserve to be doing all that,
Yeah.
but it's just
Yeah.
sad that they're
The
doing
context
it
in which
because-
Yeah,
it's.
exactly.
they're like hijacking your success for their own.
And
It happens
Do
here.
you feel like the
Happens
token
It's
role?
hard because you do gain from it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Do you feel like the token role is needed?
No.
Ooh.
Needed in what sense?
In a black society, there's no tokens.
Needed for
This isn't that though. That's a very good question.
Can you wait? Can
Like,
you elaborate?
relating it to your circumstance of like being that token, you're able to, you're given different opportunities by administration
Yeah,
and stuff like
and
that.
in that position, I also wanted to look out for other black women in my school.
That's the difference.
And I
That's the
wanted
difference.
to, you know,
That's the key
as
difference.
speech and debate captain, I wanted more black women captains.
There you go. Not
And all that
everybody
stuff.
thinks
And I
like that.
did, you know, put my best foot forward for black women there.
Mhm.
Being that token, and once you're at that position, just black people, we shouldn't forget that we have still.
Yeah, don't get there and be the only one there.
Exactly, and fall in
Or
love
the
with
last
this. I'm
one
the
there.
only one, exactly. And or I'm the first one. It's okay now. Great, that's a great stride. Now let's
Open
use
the door.
that position
Open the door.
exactly to help others. But then there was this whole retaliation thing against me and all this stuff. So it was hard, but I still knew like this is for the benefit of the Black community.
Yeah.
So it was that idea in mind that I had. But yeah, there are some benefits to it. I can say that also being one of the favored ones, I was in positions where I heard the inner administration speak about other Black women.
There we go.
In my school, and one of them actually said she was looking for someone else to fulfill I guess a speaking position of to fend for the school and all that stuff. So of course I was the one speaking, but I needed someone else. And of course, they're always trying to fill a diversity quota as well because there's not a lot of Black people. And so she was gonna ask for this other Black person to go, but she was like, no, I'm kind of afraid of her. I don't really. And she was an administrator. And she was
Afraid.
Like what she's gonna say, or she's
intimidated. Whether it could be what she was gonna say, is just the misogynoir of all that is crazy.
Of course, she wasn't gonna explain, but she was just like, I don't know, I'm a little bit afraid to talk to her, and I don't know. And then I guess she wanted me to relate and understand. So yeah, they definitely are looking for the more softer, quieter, and the not so activist ones.
Yeah,
and
they don't want
because
you
I
to
know
rock the
I've
boat.
literally been in those positions where I've heard them say that, and honestly, it's sad. It's really heartbreaking. But then also you have to look at yourself. It's how did I end up here? Am I not?
That's imposters.
It requires so much introspection.
Am I good?
So much.
Am I actually smart, or am I just a Black person that's average, and they're just trying to make me like that person?
Yeah, in the eyes of white supremacy,
so
my
Black people see better around here. Am I actually
so
smart, or
That's
the
so
white
real.
people are just trying to convince me I'm smart? Because they want me to be the token.
To that point, to that exact same point, think now for a moment. To that exact same point, think now for a moment an opportunity you were granted that you rightfully earned, but you might know a Black person with far greater capabilities in that field than you, and they didn't get that opportunity for whatever reason. Think about that. Think about that for a moment. Because I've definitely been in positions where I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm doing this, y'all pick me, but I ain't got it like that person does. And the difference between me and that person being in that position, we might be classmates, it's just they're not palatable
Yeah, but you're saying you're
to
asking
the structure that is asking this of me. So it's really hurtful on an emotional level because you start to question yourself again. And I read this thing about imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome is it's a side effect of just a white supremacist system, because the only reason you question your role in something is if you don't think you deserve to be there. So
and that's internalized.
And that's internalized. It's internalized. So you believe yourself not to be good enough when you could be overqualified, and here you are questioning your very being and your role in things. But you very much deserved every single opportunity you got. The context in which you got them is what might then cause you to doubt it. I've definitely experienced it. In my high school, at some point, even amongst my Black friends, we knew. I was quote unquote that guy. I was that guy. Knew the administrators, knew the security guards. When there was an event happening, they looked out for me. They opened their arms, embraced me, my family, my siblings. My siblings are never gonna have a hard time going through the school system I did, because I put my name on that. They know what precedes me. But in that, there were also other students that were measured against me. And even if I had the awareness and the wherewithal to say nah, don't do that, they don't really care. They're not listening for that. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. And it made it very weird, because I literally remember my friend saying he was gonna use me as a pass. He needed to do something, he needed to go somewhere, he's like, yo Julio, come with me. And he got away with it. He was able to do the thing he needed because I was with him. My mere presence was enough to do something. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And I learned that you can game the system early. But that's part of the reason why I'm so firmly against respectability politics now. Because I understand the role respectability plays. I understand the benefits you can have and the privileges you ascertain when you are respectable, so to speak. But I hate it. Because once I get into that space, I'm gonna quote unquote show my ass. I'm gonna be me, not the respectable Julia. I'm going to be me, and I try to be consistent in that, and lead with the authentic me.
But then
Like you
might-
just
might
gotta
lose
like
that
me.
position.
Yeah, you might lose that
Risk
position,
it
but
now.
if you don't like me off my charisma, like that's not a space I'd want to be in the first place. If I need to like change myself and I gotta button my polo up all the way to the top button for you to like think I'm cool, and if I was wearing a different outfit, you're like, oh shit, that's Julio. Like, if you're not gonna recognize me as Julio all throughout, I don't want to be there. Like you like my blackness then becomes an affront to whatever you're trying to accomplish. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there.
You can have like a good token.
It's possible. It's possible. Because if you get up there and you don't pull the ladder up or break it, then somebody could come up after you. But you also have to be aware that somebody's coming up after you and you help them.
But so like this is the thing, right? So everybody knows who Obama is, right?
Mhm.
So
Very much.
we can at this point in time, Obama is the token black president. There's no other black
Yeah,
president.
absolutely.
Right?
He
So-
was all throughout.
So from the standpoint, it's like almost if any black person wants to be president, it's like okay, you have to be that. You have to be respectable, right?
I don't
You
know
have
if
to.
America's gonna let it
You have to
happen
speak
again.
in full sentences.
Mhm.
You can't say a lot because he was way too well spoken for that. He
she said,
he can't be as
And he can't be 100% black either. He can't be 100%
Yeah,
black
yeah,
either.
so-
You
so-
gotta be biracial.
he has to be like palatable black.
Yeah, you
So,
can't be
like,
Wesley
cinnamon
Snipes
and
dark.
up, you know?
Yeah.
He can't be dark mocha.
Not
Right?
cinnamon.
That's
So
facts.
basically, when you're in that certain position, there are people who will like fill their cabinets with black people, and
Mm-hmm.
Obama did that. Like he hired a lot of black people. He hired a lot of people from my fraternity. Like he hired
And which fraternity is that?
Alpha Phi Alpha.
There you go, sir.
He hired a lot of black professionals
Mhm.
from Black Alpha Phi Alpha, lawyers and such, and he basically just put on a lot of like black institutions that were formed like for the purpose of black people.
Mhm.
Right.
So like he gave more money to NAACP, stuff like that. But for like the big things,
Mhm.
like black people are the least covered group of
Yeah, on an institutional level.
like we have the lowest healthcare. We died most of everything of COVID, of
Mhm.
everything that kills everybody.
All core
It kills
morbidities.
more of us than everybody else
Yeah.
per capita, right? So like he wanted to give in order to help black people, right? He had to give everybody healthcare.
Mhm.
Like he couldn't just give black people healthcare.
He couldn't give specialized treatment.
It's so messed up because there's the opposite is legal. Like discrimination is literally legal.
Yeah.
It's written into laws. But like to undo it, you have to be this all.
You gotta be
loving-
ambiguous.
You can't. So you can have racist laws, but like the solution has to be like not targeting race.
Yeah.
So like you can't do anything for black people without
Mhm.
doing something for everybody, right? So this
Exactly.
is back
Lowest
to the
common
token thing.
denominator.
Back to the token thing. You can say that he was a token, absolutely, because no other black person filled that role. And
Mhm.
you can say that that's like
For 2 terms,
like
nonetheless.
that's bad on his part. Like if you're the first black president and there's not another one for a while, like you didn't do something right. Like
Mhm.
there's something that you should have left in place to make something easier for the next black president.
That's so true.
So that's where like I'm conflicted, right? You can say that he's a bad token for that. He's a bad token
Mhm.
because he's the last black president and there isn't another one. And
Yeah, I
there-
don't think there's gonna be.
I don't know any black person that's reached even like I don't know any black governors. And maybe that's just me, but I don't know any black people who have that even that level of
Mhm.
like power. But you can say like a person like Maya Wiley. She ran for New York
Mayor.
City mayor, right?
Yeah.
She ran on the defund the police platform.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, yo, I
Yeah.
swear, like you
Mhm.
put me in there, I'm gonna do it. Like,
Mhm.
like sign the paper, whatever. None of the other people wanted to sign the paper, say they were gonna do it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to meet with Bill. Like, she was like, if there was a Bernie Sanders in 2016, in 2022 in New York, it was
It was
Maya
her,
Wiley,
yeah.
right? And I was just so like enthralled with this woman. She's beautiful, by the way, but I was just like everything.
Besides the point.
Besides the point.
It's my
Completely
problem.
besides the point.
Let me refocus.
But like everything that she stood for, I was like, yo, that's dope. And a person like that in that seat, I don't think could be a token. You can't run on like
Mhm.
being this liberating factor. Like you can't get into that office and be a token. But I think the problem is you can't get into the office.
At all.
You can't get into the
you
office.
Can't get in there.
So like
No,
if
no, no.
everybody has to be a token to get their foot in the door. When you get into
Absolutely.
the door, what you do
Then
is up
you
to
can
you.
maybe act up.
If you have the power and it
Mhm.
doesn't just get ripped out from under you immediately.
Right,
Yeah.
So this is like the slippery slope. Like you can call any black person in a great position, you call them a token because they are.
Mhm.
But what they do once they're in the position is what defines them. They're not all just
Absolutely.
token black people that are just,
Absolutely.
basically like propping up white culture.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
what
way I
not
view
just
it.
white culture,
Yeah.
white supremacy,
institutions,
Absolutely.
facts. Talk about it.
That was a great point. I feel like, throughout this conversation, we've talked about different kinds of tokens in a way. I just want to know, I wanted to hear from you guys your final thoughts real quick about this conversation.
Everybody speaking. Everybody.
Little takeaway or anything. It could be about tokenism for yourself, for your future. It could be tokenism for entertainment or politics.
Your peers, a fellow black person.
Yeah, like I guess like how I feel personally about tokenism is that like even though like I can see the benefits and or like how I can like uplift others, but
You can tell us
I just can't like I don't think I can change myself in a way where I can be palatable to like white people. So like even though there could be like some benefit to it or I could help others, I don't think I'll ever be able to fit that mold, like personally. Like I don't think I was raised like in a way like where like white people like look at me and they're just like that one. I love the way she speaks or whatever because I feel like I'm just like yeah.
Would you quit your
Can't
job
live with that.
if your boss like demanded that of you?
Like what's it?
Like they
Code switch?
not even that, but like everything about what you came into the office looking like the way you dress, stuff like that. They wanted you to be how everybody else in the office looks.
Fully assimilated.
And you don't look like that, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, maybe you should do this with your hair. Oh, maybe you should, like the little microaggressions. Like you think you could
No, I
accommodate
can't. I already know myself. I'm Gen Z. I will quit.
Yeah.
I have no attachment.
Yeah, we're gonna quit.
When I was
Facts.
She said what she said.
I said it.
I respect.
Anything?
As a VP of a government at a PWI, in charge of like throwing the fun events on campus, I've had to be a token sometimes. I understand that, but like Julia said earlier, I've been myself, like genuine in what I do. Like I'm a VP. People expect something different out of me before they meet me. Like you catch me on campus, I'll be wearing my do rag.
Yes,
I
he
wear my
does. It's
puffers.
gold too. Yes, sir.
So be
With the 11s on feet.
So like, because I'm in USG, people expect something different out of me. But then they be like, then I go wilding out on campus. Or you see like, student life, sometimes you forget that you're at PWI. Sometimes you're like, oh wait, next day, I forgot I'm like one of the 3 black people in my class.
Yeah.
But when I'm able to bring a little melanin to what I do on campus, and that's what student life is all about. And I know I want to set the groundwork for people coming in after me. So I just want to make sure that, like what Obama was able to do, make sure that there's someone coming up after you that can build on what you already set up. So I just know I wanted to set a new standard after COVID with what I do in the new programming, records broken and whatnot. And just make sure that Stony Brook can be
Talk
that
about
school,
it.
too.
I'm sorry, I don't think they heard you.
You said broke records?
Yeah, Broken Records.
Brookfest sold out?
Wolfieland, Brookfest sold out first time in years.
Yeah, talk about it.
Sheesh.
Just gotta lay the groundwork for the next student life coming up, because we got another black Haitian person Haitian woman this time coming up.
Yeah.
So just gotta lay the groundwork for what's coming up next.
And the do-rag in your position doesn't look out of
Still
place
wearing my
because you've done it.
Tyrese, did you have anything?
I just want people to also think about black queer token. Just because someone's black and queer doesn't mean they're I guess the best at fashion or those basic stereotypes.
I'm thinking Billy Porter.
Yeah,
That's the
or
stereotype. Yeah, I think he's
or
white.
Tasha Call or Ricky Thompson.
He's white.
Just all of
Yeah.
those.
He's white.
stereotypes,
Yeah, I want people to think more about that as well. And that's really it. We're not all sassy, we're not.
Yeah.
No, interior designers.
Julia, did you have a final point?
Yeah, I want to speak to what Chris was saying. If you're going to be given or you're going to earn a position of power in any kind of institution, most, if not all the institutions we function and work in are white supremacist ones. That just is the name of the game. If you're going to occupy that role, understand you are not, even if you're the first, understand you cannot by any means be the last. You cannot. You need to set a standard that is not necessarily like you don't need to set like an unrealistically high standard. Let's be honest about that, because there's not only do you fall into the role of a token in being that you are quote unquote above average in the eyes of white supremacy, but you also feel the pressure to go above and beyond to maintain said role. And sometimes that's an unrealistic standard you set for yourself, and you burn out, but you got to keep pushing because black people don't experience pain through a white supremacist gaze. So you set these unrealistically high standards, so by the time the next person comes up behind you, they might not want to follow you up. They might not even think it's possible. They might not think it was realistic what you did, but you did it. So sure, you did a great thing. You occupied this role for X amount of time, and that's another thing. You need to know how to pass the torch and mentor people, set up apprenticeships, something. You can't just expect a black person to follow up after you if you never spoke to another black person who wants to follow up after you.
I just wanted to build on one thing you said about like the standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said this earlier, but you have like a duty to yourself first and foremost, but
Absolutely.
also to your other, to
Your
black people in
community.
general.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be like the best person you need. Obviously, you have duty to yourself to be
Mm-hmm.
the best person you can be. But you have duty to be the most authentic version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that other people's perceptions aren't based on something fake.
Yeah.
That because then you're making it harder for the next black person. Wait, you're not. What's up?
Yeah.
You something wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? You're making it harder for other black people to be themselves because you're creating this like
Mirage.
detailed
Yeah, it's an
mirage.
illusion.
It's an illusion of what a black person is, and everybody around you is eating it up. So just be authentically yourself, and you'll never be a token.
Exactly. Anthony, did you have a final point?
I just wanted to say, like, express, like, when it comes to totems, express the creativeness, like, and the diversity within blackness. Because even though we're all black, we're all different in every way, shape, or form. And, you know, that's like with me, like, everybody who knows me knows I talk about me being Guyanese a lot. That's probably the first thing you'll hear come out of my mouth. So it's like, I bring that identity with me, and I carry that with me, like, you know, everywhere. So I would just say, you know, express who you are, like, creatively, like, diversity.
I would say, first and foremost, thank you for having this platform and this talk and having these conversations. So I feel like these conversations are really needed, especially to educate yourself on various topics, and just hearing you guys talk gives a different perspective. Like hearing about your stories, being the only black person in your Catholic school, because I have a different perspective. So like I feel like those are really needed and they're very important. Going back to what you said, like being in positions of power, I feel like you should aspire to inspire. Especially when you're like the only black person and such. Try to bring one person up. That's one thing that I like about the seniors and Julio too. Like the fact that when I met you, it's like you want to be a mentor, you want to be a guide for me, you want to try to like help me instead of like what a lot of black people I feel like do is like gatekeep, which is something that we should try and stay away from. So I just said thank you and just really try to help each other and we stick together.
I would say that first and foremost, anybody, you have to find your identity. I think for the longest, token or not, you have to create your own definition for yourself. Like you cannot let anyone else define you, or else you will be this way for one person, another way for this person, this for your family, this for your friends, this for your church. And so when it's just you alone in your room, you don't know who you are.
It's a fractured identity is what
And I
it is.
feel like that, you're right.
It's a bar.
Yeah.
It's a bar.
I feel like on that note, we have talked a lot about tokenism, and I'm thankful for all of you guys joining us for this conversation. Stay tuned for more. Bye, guys.
Yeah, that's a